Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this morning? I just wanted to get with you today and just give you a little shout out. I think what I wanted to really say is, it's really important to know the Lord. And by all means, I am far from being, I think we all have, sin that we deal with in our life. But some of us really try out here. And that's something that's very important to me. We should all be individuals that work on growth in our life. Not necessarily today, growing from today to tomorrow, but a progression, at least over a period of time from one year to the next. I mean, can you look back and say to yourself that you've seen some good growth? I'm not talking financially. Now, financial and the 3D, I call it, most of us call it the 3D. It's the things you see and touch. It's the items, the objects, and the jobs and the titles. That's fine. I get all that. But what's truly important is your relationship with the Lord, man. Or it is most definitely to me. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I am telling you that it is very important to me. It's on my mind every day. Every day. Even when before I was saved, it was on my mind every day because it was important to me then. And truly, I have to say that for all the things that I've been through my whole life, but I'll tell you, man, the last 2 years, I have done a lot of leveling up. And with leveling up, I have gotten to a place in my life to where I started to have realizations and understandings of like new knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, right? Like spoken of in the Word. I'm talking about things of the Lord and the nature of the Lord and the things in the Word that I've had manifest in my life because I was going down that pathway. There's many pathways you can take, but they're not all good. And at least, if you're on a different pathway than me, that's whatever. I don't ever push who I am on anybody because I know that doesn't work. What does work is when you're an example, when you can set a good example to the people in your community and the people around you, that you may not do it like I do it. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but I do have a blueprint that I have learned through my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I got from the Word of God and life and turmoil and being entrenched with narcissists all around you sometimes. And what I found is a lot of times what makes dealing with a narcissist so much worse is when you get entrenched with one. Everybody that has any kind of righteousness gets pushed out of your life. They make sure that's the first thing, because what they're doing is they're getting you to knock all your boundaries down, because boundaries are what protect you from the enemy. Just like I said on a podcast before, if you are an alcoholic, then one of your major boundaries has to be that if I have friends and they're going out to drink, then I can't go. And if I'm dealing with that on a stage that is bad enough, then I may not even be able to know you because it would be too susceptible for me. And I got to say this because, and it's not to shame anybody, but I don't deal with alcohol like that. And I'm only bringing it up because I've had my whole name and I've been smeared and defamed so bad by this coven of witches and warlocks that I had not known anything about until more recently. And I have been away from the individual that I had been with for years. But because I refused this individual, they got jealous and it really hurt their ego. It gave them some sort of ego. It's not an ego death because the narcissist doesn't change. They may have some sort of a point to where they get humbled. But I'm still a firm believer that narcissists do not change. So I'm of that school of thought. And from what I've seen what my point is they've done so many bad things to me and put so much witchcraft on. And I found that this stuff goes all the way back to my childhood. And I've had a tough life because of it, but I always smiled. or I always tried to find the good in things, have gratitude. And God showed me the way. I got saved when I was shortly after I turned 20. And shortly thereafter, I met a long-term relationship turned into a marriage, and I spent 10 years with a borderline. So this is how it works. If you get close to the Lord, these people are going to come at you. I got real strong with the Lord. I went to like Bible college, and then I met her. I didn't know anything about borderline, narcissism, and all that, but I dealt with it, in childhood as well. So you get groomed, and then as soon as you get away from that, if you're still unaware to what is out there and what you're dealing with, because these are really witchcraft practitioners. I don't care if they know it or not, but a lot of times they do get to know it, meaning that they can be bewitching you unbeknownst to what they're doing, but they get some sort of power, control, some sort of satiety from it, happiness. Whatever happiness they get is sadistic, right? And it's built in their system because of what they're dealing with, the dark energy and the unhealed wounds, and the life and the road they chose to continue down. And a lot of times it comes because of a lot of covenants that they made that are really detrimental. And a lot of times they can be unconscious. You can make an unconscious decision. So you got to be careful with that. That's why you kind of want to be conscious as much as you can in the moment, but also, be able to look ahead, because you have to have vision and you have to protect yourself, and you have to be able to plan and plot, right? Because people are strategizing against you. But it shouldn't keep you from walking in your true authenticity. And that's why we have intuition, because intuition is what will direct us to those needs, to keep our guard up extra sometimes because of the time that we're going through and the fervency of the enemies that are trying to come and attack you. And some will come in like sheep, and some like or wolves in sheep's clothing. And those are the worst kind, because a lot of times you have had a soft spot for them, and there is witchcraft involved. So you got to be careful. There are glamour spells, love bombing, all of that stuff, where they mirror you. But what the devil always does, the devil will always come in with the nice person, or what they call the Jekyll. And that's the nice person. The devil never comes in angry. So if that helps, that helped me a lot when I started to realize, because demons, dark energy, and people dealing with this kind of stuff, whatever you want to call it, evil, these guys harness this stuff. They get anger in their hearts, and they get unforgiveness for people at an early age. And maybe they were innocent, but a lot of us went through the same trauma, and sometimes more. And we had to come to the same conclusion that we had a decision to make. We had to choose. It was a bifurcation. It was two different pathways. And you can't keep going straight when the path is at a fork in the road. You can't. You have to decide, because there's guardrails up and there's walls up. So all you can do is you can go backwards, but backwards is evil. And it's what happens when a narcissist comes into your life. First, they stop you, and then they take you backwards. So you get into a stasis, and then they take you backwards. But those are two options. The other two are the two lanes that are open, but they're forked, and you have to make a decision. And what the narcissist likes to do is just travel in a circle and tell you they need more time, or tell you another lie to extend the time, because they never can make a decision, especially if it has to do with something on a level of growth, a level of anything spiritual, or any goodness in a relationship, unless there's some kind of bag in it for them. That's the only thing that will make them come out of the circles of nowhere and, okay, I'm ready to make a decision. If you had a bag of money, if you came to a narcissist and said, I need you to make a decision on this relationship because I care about you and I really love you. I want to be with you. Do you know what the narcissist would do? I need more time. Or they would kind of go into it half-heartedly, right? But if you were holding a big bag of gold bars, they would be like, okay, I'm ready. I really feel it in my heart now. That's a narcissist, okay? And shortly thereafter, you find you'll be stripped down to nothing. They will walk away. And if you kicked a bucket, they will dance on your grave. And they will soak up all the empathy and sympathy from the people around them. And they will explain to them how much they loved you and cared for you. All the things they did to you to help you. That you were going down the wrong path, but they really cared and tried to turn you around. But you didn't listen. You weren't hearing all their good things and all of their good advice that they were trying to get through to you. But they loved you and you will live in their heart forever. But we all know that that's a lie. But this is the scenario that would occur. I promise you. That's how they are. They'll do anything for supply. And the people that have been trying to affect me, and there's more than 10 all day long, y'all. They're hacking my phones. They're hacking my cameras. They've unalived me on paper. They've gotten a life insurance policy and cashed it in. And we're successful. They got birth certificates on me and driver's license on me and have done all kinds of things all over the place. They have gotten me married to my ex because I have a financial, I have something going on that's very important. So they did all of this, but they found they couldn't unalive me. They've done so many things, poisoned me and set me up several times and several occasions. They tried to get me fired several times. It almost worked once. But God had grace on me, and I'm telling you that he has protected me. And my point is, if you really live by certain truths and you really do it with passion, because you do it with your heart and your soul and your mind aligned, and you do it out of love and you know the Lord, I'm telling you, y'all, he will protect you and your enemies will collapse and they will get bombarded with such negative reaping that it will bury them. I'll tell you, it takes a lot to humble a narcissist, and I've watched it. I've watched them lose everything. It could be high society and go down to literally getting kicked out of house and home, cars repoed, jobs fired, bad health, poor health, diagnoses, losing any kind of friendship, relationship. And, the narcissist has like 5 partnerships at a time. They're polyamorous, so they lose all of those even. And they get a horrible name for themselves because now people see them because they have no supply. And when you have no supply and you're hanging out with a coven of narcissists, and you were a chosen curse breaker, and they were living off of your fuel, just you. And I wanted to tell you this, y'all. Cut them cords. Let them go. They want you connected because you will fuel like 10 couples' lives. They know evil works opposite than goodness. And they are able to harvest from you, literally, and harness that and manipulate and have power to perform magic and spell work on people and get over on them, become very successful. It's blood money. It's evil. And it's all deception. But my point is it's imperative that you cut from them. Cut them cords as quick as you can. You got to let them go. Because this is what they're doing in the background. And if you want to see them get negative reaping, you want to see them. I'm not saying that you ever want this, but I'll tell you what will happen. They will get crushed if you were living good for the Lord. And they were sucking off you and you clip them cords. You clip them cords. They will go down. And just like Pharaoh when Moses God told Moses to tell him to let my people go. And Pharaoh was so stiff-necked and hard-headed, he said, in the Bible it talked about this. And he was pompous and arrogant. He was an overt narcissist, probably a spiritual narcissist, just like some of the people you're dealing with today. And he kept saying no. And God said, okay, and every time, every day at some point, that Pharaoh kept those people and wouldn't let them have sovereignty, he would destroy them. He would have something collapse very large in their life. And maybe today they're kicked out of house and home. Tomorrow, or it's the power and all your utilities, you can't even afford them. Tomorrow it's your house and home, and the next day you thought you were living in your car, but that gets taken too. Now you try to go somewhere, but now you have bad credit and you can't even afford a place. But you're also an addict, so now you got to fill that. So then you might sell yourself, and then you catch some diagnoses, and you've been degraded to nothing, and you still need to get your fix. And now you've lost all your names, any titles you had, any relationships. Nobody wants to be with you, partnerships, and you're living in a shelter, and you can't even get along with people there because you have to control that as well. And then you lose your job. And then because you had an addiction, well, now you have cases that are going to put you in federal prison for 25 with an L, y'all. That's hard time. Fed time is all time. You don't get out early with Fed time, and that's why they call it federal time. There's no, you'll get out in 10 years if you're really nice to the people next to you. No, it don't work like that in federal prison. Federal prison is hard prison time. That's why they call it federal, because you did something stupid that was on a federal level, and they got to make you understand that this is the federal government you mess with. And we have certain ways of doing things, right? That makes this country strong, like a strong banking system. And we can't have it messed with, because that's a foundational United States blessing that we have. It's only so strong that it is because we go so hard on the laws that back it up. You didn't jaywalk. You didn't get some ticket in your car. You got to a level to where you were doing identity theft. You were making false IDs, birth certificates, death certificates, life insurance policies, PPP loans, and unaliving people on paper, actually having ceremonies and funerals and weddings that you had nothing you knew nothing about until a couple of months ago. All of this so that they could snake maybe an inheritance or something that you have down at the court system. And then they get paperwork done, and they know doctors, MDs they got in their pocket. They got lawyers and law firms. They have coroners that work for them. They have police, and they're married to police and lawyers. Okay, and then they're informants for the FBI. They have high-ranking family, old men in the FBI that control the mail and know the mail superintendents and the officers in the mail. And that is a big federal offense, mail fraud. And they're able to scoop your mail up. And then they go listen to this, they get a power of attorney because they got a paperwork guy, an accountant. Then they got an investment person that got your inheritance at their bank. So then they're working with them. So the investment guy gets with the lawyer and the judge and the accountant and the people that stamp everything and the banker, and maybe the sister and the brother work at the bank together. So, he can do this and I'll run that through. Then the judge, they're in the pocket, and you're married to the lawyer. And you got your grandfather upstairs in the FBI or something. He knows the mail officer, so he thwarts the mail. And they just give him some bribe money out of your inheritance. Maybe, take a couple $100,000 out and just spread it around. It's no big deal because it ain't yours, right? Right? And you got a fraud man. They can sign and print birth certificates and IDs, and they can run loans for you. No biggie. Just put a stamp on it, because you're my friend. I'm the authority, right? That's what the guy's saying. But I'm your friend. So it doesn't matter. By the time this guy finds out, we'll have unalived him. But they couldn't unalive me. You know why? Because I'm a generational curse breaker. And at some point I woke up and I started to live right. And I started this narcissism channel, which they've been hacking, and they've been hacking the finances behind it as well and trying to take it down. But the Lord's not going to let them. And the Lord is hammering them down for every evil thing that they did 10 times over. I mean, they are getting crushed. And a lot of times I told you what happens. What happened with Pharaoh is they sent so much witchcraft to me and it got returned to sender. And I have legions of angels protecting me. I have nothing to worry about. And God forbid anything ever did happen. I'm not worried about that either, because I know the Lord and I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed. And God is good. And these people serve Satan. Like literally. A coven of witches, Eastern Stars, Freemasons. You got FBI, you got CMPD, dirty, a dirty judge, you got a dirty accountant, dirty loan officer at the bank, you got a dirty investment agent at the bank or investment firm. And they did offshore accounts. You know, that's what the judge did. You know, I'll sign off on it and we'll set up this account and you'll run it through there. But, you know, they're getting caught. They had about 10 people come and defame my name in court. They had somebody impersonate me, being me, and acting a fool. So I looked like, and they said I had mental issues. So that they could say they diverted my mail. So they had the mailman divert my mail and one of my neighbors. And they gang stalked me, because this is what narcissists do. They get into a coven or Freemasonry, Eastern Stars. They'll perform witchcraft spells. They'll unalive people doing it. And they'll take loans out on them, life insurance policies and all kinds of things. And then when people ask them, where are those people? Some of them are friends of them, you know, because there's no honor amongst thieves. So some of those guys get unalived as well because they know too much, you know. And so what happens, they have a real estate agent. So then they, you know, funnel money through that. They have a bunch of false, fake fronted businesses that they're laundering money through. They're running sex, sex trafficking, and they're doing a lot of child, like pedo stuff that they're getting caught for. I only was with this female, and I did, you know about narcissism, so I did several cycles with her, over several years. And it was very damaging. It was the most destructive woman I've ever met in my life. And I broke from her, and I started to heal, and I started this narcissism channel because I started to wake up to narcissism. And I was very passionate about healing and wanting to help others, you know, so it was a double thing for me. It was good for me, and it was good for any advice. I have studied a lot of stuff, you know, so. And I got mocked for it for a long time. I did. My material got quite a bit better because when you're passionate, God will lead the way. And my point is if I was evil, if I was not following the principles that I've been following, doing the things that I do, and this is some of the stuff that I'm going to bring to you later, but I can't do it right now because somebody's stealing my material and they're trying to copyright it and sell it as if they have it authentically from them. And that's what this lady is doing, and her husband. And they set up fake channels to try to defame my name on those channels, that I'm some evil SEX cult leader. You know, because the narcissist always tries to project themselves onto you, right? And this is why we talk about this stuff, because this stuff has gotten so bad today. And, you know, we're always taught in the empath community on narcissism recovery abuse, don't ever step to them. Just let it ride out. And that's true, but we do have to be assertive. And that's part of the reason why things have gotten so far out of hand in this world system today. But I'm going to bring some newness to you. I'm going to bring this blueprint. I'm going to bring the blueprint at some point. And once I get these people out of my life. But what's happening, because what happened with Pharaoh, people ended up coming up deceased, and they needed body bags and coffins. And that's exactly what's going on with this coven of people. And these people all around them, they're all getting weird stuff happen, or this witchcraft's coming back on them. And the witchcraft practitioners that they paid a bunch of money for to get me offed, they don't understand why I'm still here. And, you know, you could tell them all day long it's because I have God's covering. It's called grace. But pray for me, because I'm going down to the court system, and I'm going to have to deal with the things that I've been accused of, and I've been trying to fight things, you know, on this from this channel from time to time, and it's helped a lot. I think I'd be in a whole lot more damages and damaging trouble right now if I didn't have the ability to do what I do, and God's given me grace to walk through this. And I have faith, and I'm not worried about it, because the truth shines like the sun in any dark place, and you cannot disprove truth. And I'm going to help anybody I can that these evil doers have been cloaked in hiding, that they've thought they've gotten away with. They ain't getting away with it. I'm outing it. Any old unalivings, cold cases, anything that we're going to find on them, we're putting them down, y'all. And that's all. So my point is God is good, and God is love, and God is real, and he works. And he refuses to be mocked, y'all. Watch what you do to a light worker, and what you say to God, or mock at him, or mock at his people. Because by the end of this, even now, right now, they didn't believe in God before. They just believed in Satan. But guess what? They know, I know they believe in God now. They don't like him, but they know he's the king of all kings, and he's the Lord over all lords. And the enemy ain't got nothing on him. Just a little piece of his creation that defected. Thanks for watching.